And now from San Diego, California, welcome to the Gentle Jab Show. With a little gentle jab coming from the left and another gentle jab coming from the right. We'll exchange some punches, but they'll be pretty light. We'll debate politics and have a friendly fight. So let's get started.
Welcome to Gentle Jabs. On this show, Democrats and Republicans come together to discuss current events around the United States and the world. This week, we have on our hosts, John Stahl. We also have the presidents with us, Donald Trump and Bill Clinton. I am your host, Mitchell Murphy. We're going to be discussing 5 topics. We're going to be discussing remaining in Mexico, the liberal world order, the border crisis, the midterms, and 2,000 mules. We have some great clips to share with you. And John, do you want to kick it off for us this week?
Yeah, I'm quite amazed. The Supreme Court has made some very nice decisions over the last couple of weeks, but I do not understand this decision they made in remain in Mexico. You know, 98% of the people that are coming across the border, illegally, by the way, don't qualify for asylum claims. Now, President Trump had this well under control. Border crossings were an all-time low under his presidency, and Biden has just turned this around to go off the other side. President Trump, what do you think about the Supreme Court and this decision they made?
Well, I think they're wrong. They're absolutely wrong. They're wrong all the way. When you look at what's happening on the border, the amount of people pouring in here, the amount of crime that's going to escalate because of this, it's an absolutely wrong deal. Well, wait a minute. Hold on a second. The Supreme Court was on the side of the Biden administration because of executive discretion. And President Biden had every right to overturn this because there was a lot of crime going on, sexual abuse, there's all types of abuse going on with these people that are being detained. And they just, it's not good for these people. It's horrible.
Well, they should stay at home. They should stay in their home country. And
hey, wait a minute, Bill, you want to talk about being detained. What about the people from a year and a half ago in Washington, D.C. and the insurrection, the supposed insurrection? They're being held also.
Yeah, it's outrageous. Now let's cue up clip 1, Mitch, and get a look and see what a liberal outlet says about this remain in Mexico. I think it's a big mistake, and I think we're going to regret it.
But we have more breaking news. Let's go right to Pete Williams.
This is a win for the Biden administration, Jose. The Supreme Court says by a 5-4 vote that the Biden administration did not violate the rules, went about it the right way when it tried to shut down the so-called Remain in Mexico or Migrant Protection Protocol program that was launched during the Trump administration. Now, the question was, what do you do with people who come into the United States across the southern border, seek asylum, but there's no place to detain them? A federal judge in Texas had ruled, well, in that case, you've got to send them back to Mexico. And something like 70,000 people were, in fact, returned to Mexico under the program. Those tent cities sprang up along the southern border. Human rights groups said that those people there were subject to all sorts of crimes, kidnappings, rapes, badly mistreated while they were waiting. They couldn't get hooked up with lawyers, and they considered the program to be a disaster. So the Biden administration tried to shut it down shortly after came into office. 2 states, Texas and Mississippi, though, sued, saying, no, you didn't go about it the right way. And today the Supreme Court said, yes, the administration did and can continue with its plans to try to shut the program down. It's been in effect because of the lower court decisions. It's been in effect at 4 of the border crossing places. This is an interesting lineup of justices here, Jose, in this 5-4 ruling. It's Chief Justice John Roberts, along with Brett Kavanaugh and the court's 3 more liberal members. So the Biden administration can proceed with the plans to shut the program down, Jose.
Yeah, now, to me, that's a terrible decision. They have no legal right in this country. It's a scam. There's all kinds of problems. Now, Pete, did not mention there, that guy from MSNBC, anything about the fentanyl. So if you take just the pure human trafficking, sexual trafficking, exploitation of children. Add on top of that, over 100,000 deaths a year in the United States from fentanyl. I mean, President Trump, this has got to be a big issue for people in Texas for the midterms.
Well, I love you, John, because you're speaking the truth. And there's many more issues why not to let these people in. Many more issues. The fentanyl is huge. Like you said, over 100,000 people losing their lives. But yet that doesn't seem to matter. It doesn't seem to be a part of the equation on this. It's just that they have the right to do this. And by the way, it was a close vote also. It was 5-4. Close vote. But I disagree with it. And don't worry, we're going to take care of it. You're going to have a new president here in a few years.
I think so, or sooner, hopefully. It's now, Bill Clinton, are you thinking this is a defensible policy where basically we have an open border? And we're going to show a clip a little later in the show about counties in Texas that are claiming it's an invasion. And under the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution, they have a right to defend their state. Bill Clinton, what do you think?
Well, I've done some research on this topic, and a lot of these people are trying to avoid persecution from where they came from, and they can't go back. A lot of these people cannot go back. They're going to face death. If they don't pay their debts, then they face execution. They're going to be executed. So I feel very strongly. I know we have a problem with people coming in the country, but I think we have to look at it from a humanitarian aspect. It's just not what Donald would like it to be, cut and dry. We should do this, we should do that, and keep them out. We're a sovereign nation. We all get all that. But these are people and children.
So why don't we send them to Brazil or Canada? I mean, what's the problem? Why do they have to come to America? Why do we have to take the bulk of it? Are these people employable? Are they educated? Are they skilled?
I tell you what we can do. I got an answer for you. You know what? You want to be real soft, Bill? I tell you what we can do. Let's bus them to Washington, D.C. or Delaware and drop them off there. How about that? Let's start with Wilmington, Delaware.
Absolutely. Put them up there at Behemoth Beach or whatever it is where Joe fell off his bicycle. Now, any other comments on this remain in Mexico?
Well, I think you hit the nail right on the head when it comes just the fentanyl alone. I mean, among all the other crimes that are being committed and all the people that are being affected in Texas and the surrounding states, the fentanyl is coming in the southern border, but it's spreading out and it's affecting all of the states. It is affecting our entire country. And I think that people need to definitely take that into consideration. What were you going to say, Bill?
Yeah, that illegal drug work is enough reason to secure the border and not. I think last month you're going to see this clip. Over 200,000 people crossed the border illegally from over 100 different countries. I mean, this is an invasion of our country. So we're going to do what we can to stop it. I don't know how you can defend it, but go ahead, Bill Clinton.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I need to defend anything. I think that's a humanitarian effort. These people are in trouble. They need our help. And we have to take care of these people. We can't turn them away. I mean, it's certain deaths. They face certain death.
Where do you hear that? I don't hear that. I mean, I see this.
I just made it up.
Yeah, it looks like a bunch of young guys that are looking for. I mean, I went to Home Depot just yesterday. There was 15 or 20 of them sitting out there looking for day labor. So this is not just an American problem. These countries, the triangle of Nicaragua, and Guatemala and Honduras, they ought to take care of their own. God helps them who help themselves. Now,
well, you know what, John? I went down to Home Depot too, and I saw a bunch of guys down there looking for work. And I asked one guy, I said, how much per hour do you want to charge? He said, $25 an hour. I said, well, that's a little steep. I said, are you licensed and insured? And he said, yeah. I said, okay, get in a truck.
Well, I think it's a real problem, but we're not going to solve it tonight. But President Trump had it figured out. Remain in Mexico worked. Illegal crossings were down to all-time lows. And Joe has completely, screwed this up. I can't believe how bad this is. And we're only seeing the initial ramifications of this. It's going to get worse. And the problems stateside are going to get worse. Now, President Trump, you have any final comment on remain in Mexico?
No, I'm just sick to my stomach. You know, if you call this a victory for Joe, then God bless him, because he doesn't have any victories so far. So go ahead. Good luck with this, Joe. Take this victory and covet it, because you're not having it anymore. It's not a victory for us, not for our country. You're not putting our country first. This would never happen in China.
It's terrible. It's terrible. Now let's move on to the liberal world order. I mean, this group behind me, this is the day that President Trump took over in the White House, and you can just see the looks on their faces. You got Jen Psaki there, you got Susan Rice, you got Valerie Jarrett, and a whole bunch of liberal, whiners that did no good for our country. They were anti-Trump from day one, and they continued to this day. So I'm very disappointed in this supposed liberal world order. Mitch, did you have some historical background that you wanted to share on this new world order, liberal world order?
Yes. So originally, George Bush Sr. was the one that started using the phrase creating a new world order. And his son continued to use that phrase after 9/11, saying we were going to create a new world order. And that term, there are theorists out there saying that the agenda is to create a one world government, and that from World War II, that some of the after effects of that caused the United Nations, and that due to everything that's happening in America now, especially with the economy, that if there was an economic collapse, that there could be a series of events where the United States, Canada, and Mexico would be one nation. It'd be the North American Union. So you would have the North American Union over here in the Western Hemisphere, and the United Nations over in the Eastern Hemisphere.
Forget that. I mean, I don't want any part of that. I want America first. America is a premier country in the world, provided more standard of living for millions of people. All immigrants came in here legally, worked hard, saved their money, started businesses, and the whole thing. And the American dream was real, and it was approachable. Now let's look at clip number 2 for this new phrase last week, when one of these White House economic clowns started talking about the liberal world order and why we needed to pay $6 a gallon for gasoline.
How long is it fair to expect American drivers and drivers around the world to pay that premium for this war?
As long as it takes. So Russia cannot, in fact, defeat Ukraine and move beyond Ukraine.
Well, what do you say to those families who say, listen, we can't afford to pay $4.85 a gallon for months, if not years. This is just not sustainable.
Well, what you heard from the president today was a clear articulation of the stakes. This is about the future of the liberal world order, and we have to stand firm. But at the same time, what I'd say to that family and to Americans across the country is you have a president and administration that is going to do everything in its power to blunt those price increases and bring those prices down. It is our job, and it's the president's firm conviction that what he can do as president is to take every responsible action that he has. And we have, and also remind the American people that even as we go through this challenging period, even as we move through this transition, we also have made historic economic progress.
I'd sure like to know what that economic progress is. Which you can shut it off. I'd like to know what that economic progress is. Bill Clinton, can you give us some idea of what he's talking about, economic progress?
I think that what he's trying to say is that all the world powers are want to open it up to an international economy. So by bringing it all together, many years ago there was the Cold War that we had it was the western part, and then you had the eastern part with Russia, and so that's over with now. So we're talking more about an international power bringing all of us together. I kind of like it.
Yeah, I don't like it at all. I mean, President Trump I think you had the right idea. America first, remain in Mexico, take care of our people, get them jobs, standard of living, good to strong defense. I mean, what do you think about all this malarkey? Joe promised us no malarkey. We haven't seen this kind of nonsense since Jimmy Carter in the late 70s.
Well, it's pretty pitiful if you want to look at it. With the malarkey, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't even matter anymore. I can't wait for November. That's my favorite month coming up is November. That I can tell you.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we have a YouTube channel. If you like the show, you want to subscribe to it, tell your friends about it. We'd appreciate it. Just go to Gentle Jabs on YouTube and you can see what's going on. Now, Jimmy Carter, he had a tough time. Reagan did a red wave in 1980. I think 2022 is going to be a huge red wave. And I think the Democrats realize that they're in big trouble. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Now, I want to talk more about this border crisis because I think this fentanyl thing and I don't know where we're going to have. Why is it our responsibility to house all these people? Mitch, let's look at clip 3 and get a little more insight into what's going on here on the border and what the impacts are for America.
We felt like we should go out and declare we're being invaded.
Republican officials from a group of Texas counties, many near the southern border, are declaring the migrant crisis an invasion.
I'm here to let you know that the invasion is real.
These Texas officials believe Article 4 of the Constitution, which says the U.S. shall protect each state against invasion, should require more federal assistance. They are also calling on state leaders to create declarations and take further action.
It is an invasion that is being pushed by the cartels into our country, and it must come to a stop.
The number of illegal immigrants and asylum seekers is hitting historic levels. U.S. Customs and Border Protection says there were nearly 240,000 encounters along the southwest land border in May, an all-time monthly high. A quarter of those migrants had at least one prior encounter during the past year. Still, some constitutional law experts believe that word, invasion, doesn't apply here.
I don't think a court would seriously consider expanding the term invasion to cover this.
We're probably never even going to get to a place where a court is actually going to parse out the constitutional text on this, because they're probably going to say that it's something that is for the political branches to decide.
Last month, at the Summit of the Americas, President Biden announced a regional migration agreement. The president of Mexico declined to attend the summit, but the White House says 20 countries signed on to strengthen legal immigration pathways, enforce borders, and crack down on human trafficking.
Unlawful migration is not acceptable, and will secure our borders, including through innovative coordinated actions with our regional partners.
Border encounters were drastically down during the early stages of the pandemic, but since President Biden took office in 2021, the average number of monthly encounters has more than tripled, according to CBP data.
You damn right that's an invasion. What else do you call it?
It's a nightmare. It needs to stop. It needs to stop.
Ones living near the border believe it's an issue that doesn't appear to be going away.
We want America to know that this is real. We're trying to protect our folks, and we're not ashamed to do that. We need to do it, but we need help.
Now, this is an invasion. I don't know what, you have a home invasion. So if somebody breaks into your house, they call it a home invasion. What would you call this, Bill Clinton, if it's not an invasion?
I wouldn't call it invasion. I mean, that's a very strong term. I think, those words are hurtful. To say that, I think people are trying to come here for a new life. The borders have always been open. They've always been open for the last 50, 60 years. And so it's nothing new that we've had people coming here for a better life. And they also are leaving, like I said earlier, violence in their own countries. They're seeking a better life.
We've spent billions of dollars of foreign aid to those countries over the last quarter of a century. It looks like it's done us no good whatsoever. So Bill Gates has got a house here in the town that I live in. So if I break into his house and just say, well, I'm looking for a better way of life, is that sufficient?
It depends on what's in there.
Yeah. It's just outrageous. I think this is going to come back and bite the Democrats big time. Let's move on to the midterms. We're less than 4 months away, right about 4 months away right now. I mean, you've got Kamala Harris with a very low. Did you happen to see the clip of her up in Highland Park where she kept going around in circles again? You know, it's just outrageous. You've got these three guys. I want to see the clamps on Joe. I want to see Pelosi gone. And I want to see Schumer become a backbencher. Bill Clinton, are you still thinking that you guys are going to do pretty good in the midterms?
I do. I think the polls are starting to indicate that. When you look at Roe versus Wade, I think it concerns a lot of Republicans and what happened there. And I think it's, you look at the economy, and I think it's going to start turning around pretty soon. There are some indicators that we're coming out of this thing. More people are being employed. And I think that inflation might hang around a little while. But as we always do, we'll come out of it and we'll be stronger for it.
Well, you remember your buddy James Carville when he said it's the economy, stupid? I mean, do you think that you guys are, the dynamics have changed when people at their home and their dining room table sitting around figuring how to do the family budget, and they have problems with gas prices, grocery bills, utility costs? I mean, you guys are delusional. What poll?
Well, I think it all comes down to what TV news network you listen to.
Yeah,
if you listen to Fox News, you're going to hear that the world is the sky is falling.
So for Biden to be saying that this is all about Russia and Ukraine, and that's why our gas prices are suffering when we're receiving 3% of our gasoline from Ukraine. And we've talked about this on previous shows. If he wouldn't have shut down the pipeline when he first got into office, we wouldn't be suffering this way. And
but you know something, Mitch? I think it's also part of the greedy gas station owners too, because they're the ones hiking up the prices at the pump.
Yeah, that's Joe's latest thing. First it was Putin, then it was the oil companies, now it's the gas station owners. I mean, I'm sure they'll go back around and come back around again. President Trump, gas was under $2 a gallon when you were president.
I know.
Joe has completely screwed this up. I mean, this Green New Deal, this liberal world order, day one, he shut down the pipeline that would have sent 900,000 barrels a day down from Canada down to the refineries in Texas. This is all on Joe. I think you did a great job, and Joe has completely kicked the can here. This is ridiculous. What are your thoughts?
Well, I don't blame Joe. If you look at the back of his head, he's got strings that people are pulling. His administration are pulling the strings, not Joe. Joe doesn't even know where he is. The poor guy doesn't even know where he is. Take the teleprompter away and see if he can communicate to the American people. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. But it's ridiculous, Bill, what you just said about gas station owners. The reason why they're raising the price is because they're trying to make a living. They're not trying to gouge the American people. Things are out of control. They have to make a living. They have to raise the prices. You cut down, you did away with the Keystone Pipeline. You shut down all the refineries. Like Mitch said, it has nothing to do with Russia.
Yeah, this is all on Joe. It's all on this Green New Deal. It's on AOC. It's on Pelosi. It's on Schumer. I can't wait for election night. That's going to be one of the greatest nights in the last 5 years, ever since Donald Trump got elected president. Now let's move on to 2000 Mules. I think that documentary is spot on. You can see there are many people sitting on life sentences now in jail. And what part of the clear evidence was geo tracking, geofencing their phone around the crime scene. President Trump, 2000 Mules is real. The election was stolen. They've got millions of hours of videotape. True the Vote, Catherine Eckelbrecht, just Greg Phillips, they're all over. Do you think this is going to get any more exciting, or is the mass media still going to block it?
Well, they're going to still try to block it, but it is more exciting. It's spreading like wildfire. The truth is set you free. And the truth is Dinesh D'Souza did a fantastic job. He's a great American, a smart guy. I have a lot of respect for him. And it's irrefutable. When you look at the evidence, it's not about some guy at a ballot box at 1:30 in the morning. It's about the geo tracking. The geo tracking puts you there. It puts everybody there. So you can't be selective and say, we're going to use it against the insurrection, but we're not going to use it against the, you know why? I'm going to tell you something right here. And I want the American people to listen to me. They can't afford to let the cat out of the bag. What happened to me? What happened to me is what's going to happen to you. They're coming after you. They can't get me. They're coming after you.
Yeah, it's pretty sad to see what's happening in our country now. Stacey Abrams, she's running for governor in the state of Georgia. She's the big queen of ballot harvesting. I'll be real interested to see what goes on in the governor's race in Georgia. She's a big defund the police, excuse me, but she spent a couple $100,000 last year on private security. So this is just outrageous what these lefties are pushing. Kamala Harris has got terrible poll ratings. Joe and the country, 85–90% of the country thinks that we're on the wrong track. All this woke agenda with males getting pregnant. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I think it's going to backfire big time on the Democrats, and I can't wait till election night. Now let's start to get some closing comments. President Trump, are you pretty optimistic about a red wave in November? Do you see any issues with election integrity? Do we have to be on guard? Do we need to get more people at the polling stations to observe what's going on?
We have to do a lot more preparation because I am optimistic about the outcome, but I'm also guarded because of what happened. And if we don't admit to what happened, I don't know how we could go forward. My only hope is that it'll be done a lot better this time. But I look at the polls, they look great. A lot of the people that I've supported have done a great job.
Now I saw that your 757 is in for a paint job, totally renovated. You're going to start using that Trump airplane again to go to some of these rallies to help get the people
it's
through.
It's a real beauty. It's a real beauty. I love it.
Got a fantastic track record, 140-10 on your endorsements. So that's like 98% of your candidates. Now, Bill Clinton, do you have any closing comments for tonight?
Yeah, I never had my own airplane. I never had mine. All those carbon emissions and everything that he's spreading around the country, going around trying to promote all these people and stirring people up. It's like a mental disorder.
Yeah. Now, how many trips did you make on Jeffrey Epstein's airplane? I thought you had about 30 trips on Jeffrey's plane.
Well, I did, but I did like 23 times, but I never got out of the airplane.
I can imagine. So you just went for the free lunch, huh?
Well, I wasn't a free lunch, but we had conversation in the plane in which I can't divulge of what it was about, but it was a personal conversation. And when we he wanted to show me the island, and I told him it'd be best if I didn't get out of the airplane.
Yeah, so I can imagine that. That was just like you and that attorney general that you discussed golf and grandkids when you met before your wife didn't get indicted, right? So, it's a bunch of baloney. Now, this new world order, liberal world order, do you think these people I saw where even after the Roe versus Wade Supreme Court decision, Democrat turnout in the primaries was under par? Bill Clinton, you keep telling me that things are going to happen, things are changing around. Last week you said things are going to happen in 45 days. Do you have any insight into any of this great, things that are going to happen?
Well, that was only 7 days ago. So we're just starting into July, but watch what happens right around the end of August.
Right around the end of August.
Big things are going to happen.
Now, Mitch, do you have any closing comments from the great state of Utah?
Yeah, I think that it really just all comes back to the Constitution. And that's why I keep cycling back to this backdrop, that we really need to know the Constitution. We need to know our rights, and we need to stand and fight for them. I feel like that we're at a huge turning point in this country, and that a lot of those rights are being edited and twisted out of it, and that we need to fight for our rights, our God-given rights for this great country that we live in. and to make sure that our upcoming generations know the Constitution, that they understand the rights that they're given, because if they don't fully understand what they have, they're going to lose it before they're not even going to know what they lost, because of all of these woke agendas and things that are being brainwashed into the upcoming generations. And so really just God bless America, and really just, you know, we need to teach the Constitution and know it so that we can defend it.
Yeah, Ronald Reagan said that freedom is never more than one generation from extinction. So once again, I want to remind you that we have this YouTube channel, Gentle Jabs. Go on there, subscribe to it, take a look at view the show, and tell your friends and buddies about it. We want to get the House back. We want to take the Senate back, and that's going to happen. Now, Bill Clinton, you have something else you'd like to say?
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was just going to say, if you guys would like to see me and Donald and Mitch and John every week, every Wednesday at 7 o'clock on California time, Gentle Jab Show. Please hit the like and subscribe. We sure appreciate it.
Okay, that's great. Now, Mitch, why don't you close us out of tonight's show?
Thank you all for tuning in for this week for Gentle Jabs. We are going to be launching a Facebook page for Gentle Jabs, and you're going to be able to watch us live there as well. We all hope that you have a great week. God bless America, and we hope that you had a great 4th of July, and we'll see you next week.
Okay, thank you. God bless America.